The jealous mistress, consumed by rage, grabs a bottle of red wine and pours it straight over the pregnant wife's head, the wine streaming down her hair in a shocking crimson wave. But the biggest shock isn't that. The husband stands right in front of her, arms crossed, coldly watching his own wife being humiliated, then turns to defend his mistress with a sneer, as if his wife is no longer even human. He thinks everything will stay buried, but he has no idea that just minutes later, her brother will walk in, and the entire restaurant will witness a chilling reversal of power they will never forget. Leave a comment below, and let's talk about this story. Elena feels the first warning in the air, long before anything happens. It is not a sound she can name. It is the way conversations shift, the way a few faces turn toward the entrance, as if something colder than the November wind has slipped into the restaurant. She sits very still at her table in the center of the 3-star Michelin dining room, her hands resting softly on the curve of her pregnant belly. 6 months. The pastel pink maternity dress she chose tonight hugs her bump with a softness that always makes her smile. Her milk tea brown hair, warm and silky with caramel highlights, falls in gentle waves over her shoulders. She had curled it carefully at home before leaving, hoping Alejandro might notice, hoping it might remind him of the woman he once adored. The chandeliers cast a golden glow across the room. Silver utensils gleam, crystal glasses sparkle. The guitarist in the corner plays a soft flamenco melody that drifts like warm smoke through the air. It should feel safe. It should feel beautiful. But something inside Elena tightens, a quiet instinct she has learned to trust during pregnancy. She presses her palm gently over her stomach, soothing the tiny shift she feels from within. "It is okay, little one," she whispers. "We are just having dinner." But Alejandro is late, again. She checks her phone for the 5th time. Nothing. No message. No apology. No sign that he even remembers the reservation he insisted on making. When the waiter pours sparkling water into her glass, he does it with a sympathetic glance that lands softly on her belly before returning to her eyes. "Would you like to order something while you wait?" he asks. She forces a small smile. "No, thank you. He should be here soon." The lie tastes bitter. She lifts the glass of water, but her breath catches in her throat when the doors at the entrance slide open. For a heartbeat, she thinks it is him. She straightens in her seat. She smooths her dress over her stomach. She lifts her chin. Then she sees the red. Lucia walks in as if she has been waiting for this moment all night. Her dress is a deep, violent crimson, tight enough to make half the room stare without hiding it. Her black stilettos click sharply on the marble floor. Her hair gleams under the chandelier like polished obsidian. She does not pause at the host stand. She does not greet anyone. She does not look around. She heads straight for Elena. The shift in the air becomes unmistakable. Conversations dim, forks lower. A glass somewhere in the back taps against a plate with a faint metallic ring. Even the guitar quiets. Elena's breath slips out in a slow, frightened stream. She knows, without needing to ask, that Alejandro is not behind Lucia, which means only one thing. He sent her. Or worse, he came earlier. Lucia stops at the edge of the table and looks down at Elena with a smile that never reaches her eyes. "Good evening," she says softly, almost sweetly. "Hope I am not interrupting." Elena's pulse jumps. "I am waiting for my husband," she answers. Her voice trembles despite her effort to steady it. Lucia laughs under her breath. It is a cruel, mocking sound that makes the couple at the nearest table exchange worried glances. "Oh, I know," Lucia says. "We share him." Elena's stomach twists. Her baby shifts as if responding to the spike of adrenaline flooding her system. She clutches her belly protectively, her palm warm against the pastel pink fabric. "Lucia, please," she whispers. "Not here." "Why not?" Lucia lowers her head, her voice dropping to a dangerous hush. "You do not belong here. You never did." Before Elena can react, Lucia turns sharply and snatches the heavy bottle of Reserva wine from the tray of a passing waiter. He gasps and reaches out instinctively, but she is already moving. The bottle catches the chandelier light in one dazzling flash. The room seems to inhale. Then Lucia tilts the bottle. The wine crashes onto Elena's head in a violent, icy cascade. The first splash hits her with such force that she flinches, eyes snapping shut, breath choking in her throat. The liquid runs through her hair, darkening her warm caramel highlights into dripping crimson strands. It pours over her face, stinging her eyes, sliding down her cheeks like blood. When it hits her dress, the pastel pink fabric absorbs the wine instantly, turning into dark, spreading patches that bloom like bruises across her chest and her belly. A woman gasps. Someone else stands so quickly their chair scrapes loudly against the floor. "Oh my God, she is pregnant," someone exclaims. "Stop her." But Lucia is not finished. She shakes the last drops from the bottle onto Elena's soaked hair, then sets it on the table with a hard thud. Wine spills onto the white tablecloth, forming a red lake around the base of the bottle. Elena opens her eyes. Tears mix with wine, and everything blurs. Her breathing becomes uneven. Her baby moves again, a tight flutter under her palm. Lucia plucks a linen napkin from the table. For a second, Elena thinks she might actually be wiping away the wine. A false hope. Lucia presses the napkin to Elena's cheek and drags it across her skin with deliberate cruelty. The rough weave grinds into her cheekbone, scraping, burning, leaving a raw red streak behind. "Look at you," Lucia whispers, close enough for Elena to smell her perfume. A pathetic little stain pretending to be a wife. The napkin drops onto Elena's lap, half soaked in wine. A waiter finally finds his voice. "Señorita, step away from her, now." Lucia turns her head slowly, smiling at him with chilling calm. "Relax, I am cleaning up a mess." Elena's vision tilts. For a moment, she feels the room spin, her balance shifting dangerously. She grips the edge of the table to keep from slipping off her chair. Her dress is soaked, heavy, clinging to her belly as if the wine is trying to pull her down. A female diner rushes toward her. She needs help. "Call emergency services." Someone already has. Elena hears the word pregnant spoken in urgent Spanish. She hears the words attack and danger. She hears the guitarist whisper, "This is madness," but then she hears something else. Footsteps, not rushed, not hesitant, heavy, controlled, filled with purpose. The double doors at the entrance slide open again. The cold night air rushes in, carrying the faint smell of rain and leather. Elena looks up. Her breath catches. The room shifts again. Conversations instantly. A man in a black suit walks in. He moves like a shadow given form. Tall, broad-shouldered, radiating a cold fury that chills the entire restaurant. His jaw is tight. His eyes are dark, focused, and ready to kill if needed. Every phone recording the scene swings toward him as if pulled by gravity. Miguel, her brother, the man who once ruled half of Sevilla's underground world before walking away from it to build a legitimate security empire. The man no one crosses. The man Elena hoped never to need like this. His eyes lock on her. His sister, sitting in a chair, dripping wine, dress ruined, cheeks scraped, hands shaking, belly trembling beneath the pink fabric. Alone in humiliation. Miguel stops. The room holds its breath. He speaks softly, but his voice cuts sharper than any shout. "Who poured wine on my pregnant sister?" Lucia freezes. For the first time all night, her smirk falters. Miguel steps forward, and everything in the restaurant changes. Elena does not remember standing. One moment she is sitting in the chair, drenched in wine, her pastel pink dress clinging to her like wet paper, her caramel brown hair dripping onto her shoulders. The next moment she is on her feet without realizing how she got there. Her heart thunders in her chest. Every breath hurts. Her belly tightens with a small, frightening spasm that makes her hand fly to her stomach. The baby shifts again, restless, reacting to the turmoil outside and inside her. The room tilts slightly, then steadies. She hears voices, but they all blur together. The only clear sound is Miguel's footsteps as he approaches. Miguel moves with a controlled fury that makes the entire restaurant step out of his path. His presence fills the room like a storm front. Even people who do not know who he is instinctively lean back. Everything about him communicates danger. Not reckless danger, but precise, focused, razor-sharp. Lucia takes half a step back. It is small, barely noticeable, but the fear shows in her eyes. The confidence she walked in with begins to melt around the edges. Miguel stops beside Elena without touching her. He surveys her, and the look on his face is enough to silence the room. His jaw clenches, his fists curl, his breathing slows. He does not shout. He does not curse. He simply looks at his sister, soaked, shaking, ruined dress, red marks on her cheek, belly trembling. Something inside him snaps. He turns his head toward Lucia, as if he is looking at a stain he intends to erase. "You did this?" he asks. His voice is quiet. Too quiet. Lucia swallows hard, trying to recover even a fraction of her earlier arrogance. "She provoked me," she says. "She always provokes me. Playing the victim, sitting here in her pink dress like she deserves anything." Miguel's eyes narrow. Elena is 6 months pregnant. Lucia shrugs, though her shoulders tremble. "That is not my problem." Miguel takes a single step forward. Lucia flinches. The restaurant manager jumps between them, his hands raised. "Sir, please. We have called the police. They are on their way. Let them handle this." Miguel's gaze slides to the manager. It is not hostile, just unbearably cold. "I am not here to cause trouble. I am here to witness the truth." He turns back to Elena. "Sit," he says softly. "Let me see your face." Elena lowers herself into the chair again. Her movements are stiff, shaky, unsteady. The baby shifts once more, reacting to her anxiety. Miguel kneels beside her chair, ignoring the stares, ignoring the crowd, ignoring Lucia's trembling. He studies the scrape on Elena's cheek where the napkin burned her skin. He touches nothing, but the fury in his eyes deepens. "Elena, talk to me," he says. "Are you dizzy? Do you feel pain?" "My heart is racing," she whispers. "I feel tightness in my belly. It hurts a little." Miguel stands up instantly. "Where is the doctor who checked her earlier?" he demands. A man in a dark blazer steps forward from a nearby table. "I am a cardiologist," he says calmly. "She needs to be monitored. Stress of this magnitude can trigger contractions. She must be taken to the hospital immediately." Miguel nods once. "She will be." Lucia scoffs loudly, trying to regain the spotlight. "Oh please, she is overreacting. Pregnant women want attention." Miguel turns toward her again. The room tenses like a stretched wire. "Open your mouth one more time," he says quietly, "and you will regret the sound your voice makes." Lucia freezes completely. She opens her mouth, then closes it again. Her legs wobble, eyes dart to the exit. She looks like she wants to run but cannot make her feet move. At that moment, the doors open again. This time, it is not a savior walking in. It is Alejandro. His expression is irritated, not alarmed. His suit is perfect. His hair is slicked back. He walks in, checking his phone. He does not look up until he hears someone whisper his name in disbelief. Then, he sees her. His wife, his pregnant wife, covered in wine, dress ruined, cheek scraped, eyes red. His stomach drops. He glances at Lucia, the empty wine bottle, the red lake on the table, the crowd, the cameras, the manager, the doctor, and then Miguel. The color drains from his face. Miguel steps protectively in front of Elena by instinct. He does not raise his fists. He does not shout. But the threat in the air becomes thick enough to taste. Alejandro forces a smile, but it looks like it might crack off his face. "Elena, what are you doing?" he asks sharply. "Why are you sitting here like this?" Miguel answers before she can. "She is sitting here like this because your mistress assaulted her." The word mistress hangs in the air like a blade. Alejandro's eyes flick to Lucia. She looks away. The guilt is obvious. "I did not tell her to do anything," Alejandro says quickly. "This is not my fault." Miguel steps closer. "You brought her into my sister's life. That makes it your fault." Alejandro laughs nervously. "Miguel, be reasonable. You know how women are. Drama, emotion. This is nothing." "Nothing?" Miguel repeats. The restaurant manager sighs with relief when uniformed police officers step inside. "Thank God," he murmurs. "Officers, over here." Alejandro visibly relaxes. "Great, they will handle this." But Miguel does not move. "No, they will document this, and then we will handle it." Lucia begins to panic. "I did not know she was pregnant," she blurts out. The entire restaurant gasps. They all heard her earlier. They all saw her look straight at Elena's belly. Miguel's expression turns lethal. "You are lying," he says. "And every camera in this room recorded you lying." One of the officers approaches Elena carefully. "Ma'am, we need to ask you a few questions. Did she pour the wine on you intentionally?" Elena wants to nod, but the room is spinning slightly again. Her breath becomes shallow. She presses her palm to her belly. "I feel lightheaded," she whispers. Miguel reacts instantly. "She needs the hospital now," he says. "Step aside." The officers nod. "Call an ambulance now." Alejandro lifts a hand weakly. "She is fine. She can walk." Miguel whirls toward him. If you speak one more time, I will forget every piece of restraint I have learned." Alejandro's mouth snaps shut. The restaurant falls into tense silence. Everyone moves aside as the paramedics arrive and lower the stretcher next to the table. Elena tries to rise, but Miguel supports her with one steady hand behind her back. Her legs tremble beneath her. As they help her lie down, Elena looks up at the ceiling. The chandeliers blur into circles of gold. Wine drips from her hair onto the stretcher. Her dress clings to her like a memory she wants to tear off and burn. Miguel walks beside the stretcher as they roll her toward the exit. "Stay with me," he says. "You are safe now." Elena nods faintly, but as they pass Alejandro, she finally speaks to him. Her voice is hoarse, quiet, exhausted. "You did this to us." He flinches as if slapped. The stretcher moves. The doors open. Cold night air rushes in. Behind them, Lucia breaks down. Alejandro stares at the floor. The police gather witnesses. Phones keep filming. The manager whispers to a waiter to lock the wine cellar. No one speaks above a murmur, and as Miguel steps into the night beside the ambulance, everyone in the restaurant knows one thing. This is not the end. This is the beginning of the reckoning. Elena remembers only fragments of the ambulance ride. Bright lights overhead, the sharp scent of antiseptic, a paramedic speaking softly, asking questions she tries to answer but cannot hold on to. The stretcher bumps through the hospital doors and the cold night air disappears behind her. Everything becomes an indistinct blur of white coats and steady voices. Her heart races too fast and her breathing feels shallow. The baby shifts weakly beneath her ribs, reacting to the chaotic rhythm inside her body. Miguel stays by her side the entire time. He moves with the direct certainty of a man who has lived through too many emergencies to ever panic. He answers questions for her when she cannot speak. He tells the doctors the timeline, the assault, the wine, the stress, the tightening in her belly, the fall she almost had. His tone stays controlled, but anyone listening can hear the rage trapped under every word. The nurses bring Elena into a monitoring room designed for high-risk pregnancies. Soft lighting, a reclined chair, machines waiting to be used. A nurse begins attaching the fetal heart rate belt to her belly while another takes her vitals. Elena watches the screen flicker to life. A thin green line rises and falls in a steady pattern. The baby's heartbeat fills the room in small, rhythmic thumps. Relief washes through her, weak and temporary, but real. Miguel sits beside her, leaning forward with his forearms on his knees. His eyes stay fixed on the monitor. "Is it normal?" he asks quietly. The nurse nods. "It's elevated because she is stressed, but the rhythm is strong. We will watch closely." Elena closes her eyes. She wants to sleep, but the images keep bursting into her mind. Lucia's red dress, the cold shock of wine, the scraping burn of the napkin on her cheek, the feeling of being small, exposed, humiliated. For a moment, she had felt like she was drowning in the middle of a crowded room. The nurse speaks again. "Your blood pressure is high. We are giving you something to help stabilize it. Try to breathe slowly." Elena inhales, exhales. Her chest trembles. "I'm trying." Miguel looks at her then. The anger in his face shifts into something heavier, something protective. "You did not deserve any of this," he says. Tears spill down Elena's cheeks before she can stop them. "I thought he would never let it go this far." Miguel inhales sharply. He already did. A doctor enters the room. He introduces himself and examines the monitor, then Elena's eyes, then the light scrape on her cheek. He touches nothing until she nods. "You are stable," he says calmly. "Your baby is stable. We need to keep you under observation for a few hours. Stress like this can trigger contractions, but right now everything looks controlled. You should try to rest." Elena nods again. Her body feels too heavy to do anything else. A knock sounds on the open door. A police officer steps inside with a notebook. "Sorry to interrupt," she says softly. "We need a statement when you feel ready." Miguel stands immediately. "She is not ready. Do this through me." The officer offers him a look that is neither intimidated nor impressed. "Sir, it has to come from her." Elena lifts her head. "It's fine," she whispers. "I can talk." The officer approaches slowly, respectful of the machines and the tension. "Mrs. Ruiz, can you explain exactly what happened before the ambulance was called?" Elena takes another slow breath. "We had a reservation at the restaurant. I was waiting for my husband. Then Lucia arrived. She took a bottle of wine and poured it on me. on my head and my dress. She used a napkin to rub my face. She almost made me fall. I felt scared. I felt pain in my stomach. I think she meant to hurt me. The officer nods, writing everything down. There were many witnesses, and multiple videos. This will help. Are you willing to press charges? Elena's throat tightens. She hesitates, not because she doubts Lucia deserves it, but because the question feels like a line being drawn between two versions of herself. The version who allowed herself to be silenced, and the version sitting here, battered but alive, carrying a child who deserves better than a mother afraid to speak. Miguel watches her quietly. You do not have to decide tonight, he says. You have time. But Elena shakes her head. No, I want to press charges. The officer nods with relief. We will proceed. I'll need your husband's full name. Elena's stomach tightens. Alejandro Ruiz. The officer's face shifts. She recognizes the name. He was present when we arrived, she says. He did not seem helpful. Miguel lets out a harsh breath. He has not been helpful for a long time. When the officer leaves, the room becomes quiet again. The rhythmic heartbeat on the monitor pulses like a distant drum. The medication begins to work, and the tightness in Elena's belly starts to ease. Miguel stands and adjusts the blanket covering her legs. I will stay until morning, he says. No one will come near you. Elena looks up at him. Her eyes are red, her cheeks streaked with dried wine. She has not had the strength to wipe fully. But something in her expression has changed. I want to go home, she whispers. But not to him. Miguel nods slowly. You will not go back there. You will stay with me until we figure everything out. Elena hesitates. He will be angry. Miguel does not smile. He does not soften. He can be angry. He can shout. He can threaten. But he cannot touch you again. Not while I am here. Not while there are charges filed. Not while the world has seen what he allowed to happen. Elena closes her eyes for a moment. Thank you. Miguel sits back down, resting one hand gently on the arm of her chair. You are my sister. You are carrying my niece or nephew. This is not thanks. This is family. The monitor continues its steady rhythm. The fear still lingers, but it no longer controls her. Elena lies back, her breathing finally slowing, her body calming. And as she drifts towards sleep, a single thought settles in her mind. Tonight was the breaking point. Tomorrow becomes the reckoning. Alejandro does not sleep the night after the incident. He spends the hours pacing across the polished marble floors of his penthouse, checking his phone every few minutes, replaying the video clips that flooded social media, and cursing under his breath. The city outside glows with midnight traffic, but his world feels unnervingly small. Every reflection on the glass walls seems accusatory. Every vibration from his phone makes his stomach clench. He has built his entire life around control. Control of his company, control of his reputation, control of his marriage, control of the narratives people whispered about him. But tonight, for the first time, Alejandro feels that control, slipping like water through his fingers. The video of Lucia pouring wine on Elena has gone viral. Dozens of angles, dozens of witnesses, dozens of comments condemning him for standing by. Some clips show him arriving late, trying to erase himself from the scene with excuses that already sound pathetic in his own ears. The internet has already chosen sides, and none of them are his. He grabs his phone and calls Lucia for the 12th time. She does not answer. He imagines her curled up in her apartment, terrified now that her name is trending for all the wrong reasons. He should feel sympathy. Instead, he feels rage. Rage at her, rage at Elena. Rage at everyone who did not understand that sometimes things get messy, sometimes people overreact, sometimes mistakes happen. He sits down on the edge of the bed and rubs his forehead. She always makes things dramatic, he mutters. She always turns small things into disasters. He tries to believe it. He tries to convince himself, but the knot in his stomach tightens. When morning breaks, Alejandro forces himself to shower, dress in a navy suit, and drive to the hospital. The entire way there, he practices his lines. He will walk in calmly. He will apologize to Elena for the misunderstanding. He will explain that Lucia never meant to hurt her. He will say that Elena misinterpreted things in the heat of the moment. He will tell her that stress is bad for the baby and they must avoid tension. He will paint himself as the reasonable one, the stable one, the husband trying to keep everything from falling apart. He repeats the words like a prayer. She just misunderstood. She is emotional. Pregnancy makes things bigger. I will fix this. I always fix everything. The hospital parking lot is quiet in the early morning light. Alejandro walks through the sliding doors with the calm confidence he uses at shareholder meetings. A staff member at the reception desk looks up, recognizes his name, and leads him through the hallways. But the moment he turns a corner toward Elena's room, he stops short. Miguel is there, sitting in a chair outside the door, hands clasped, shoulders broad and unyielding, eyes sharp and unreadable. He looks like a man who has not moved all night, a man who will not move for anyone he does not choose to. Alejandro swallows. Miguel, I need to see my wife. Miguel does not rise. She is resting. I am her husband. Miguel tilts his head slightly. And I am the man who watched your wife arrive at the hospital soaked in wine, shaking, with her blood pressure dangerously high. Alejandro stiffens at the sharpness of the words. You have no right to keep me from her. Miguel finally stands, not quickly, but in a slow, controlled motion that makes Alejandro tense. I am not keeping you from her. The doctors are. They said she needed calm. You are not calm. Your presence is not calm. Your explanations are not calm. Ley? I came to apologize, Alejandro insists. I came to fix whatever she thinks happened. Miguel's eyes darken. She does not think it happened. It happened. Alejandro looks away. Lucia exaggerated. Elena misunderstood. You know how these things go. A humorless smile crosses Miguel's face. No, I do not know how these things go. Because in my world, if someone pours wine on a pregnant woman and tries to make her fall, that is not a misunderstanding. That is an attack. Alejandro's frustration bursts. You are twisting the narrative. You do not know our marriage. You do not know how dramatic she can be when she is emotional. Miguel steps closer. I know my sister has been covering for you for years. Alejandro freezes. What are you talking about? Miguel's voice stays low, even. She told me everything last night. The disappearing, the excuses, the guilt games, the late nights, and how you made her feel like she was lucky you stayed. Oh. He pauses for one sharp breath. She is lucky you are gone. Alejandro's eyes flash. Don't talk about my marriage like you know anything. Miguel speaks without raising his voice. Your marriage ended the moment you let another woman humiliate the mother of your child in front of a room full of strangers. I did not let her, Alejandro snaps. Lucia acted on her own. Miguel shakes his head slowly. Then why did your mistress walk into a restaurant where your wife was sitting alone? Why did she know where to find her? Why did she act like she had a right to be there? Alejandro opens his mouth, but no explanation comes. Nothing he can say sounds believable, even to himself. Miguel takes one step back, creating space between them. Here is what will happen. Elena will remain under observation until the doctor clears her. She will leave with me. She will stay at my house. She will not return to your apartment. Not until the investigation is closed. Not until she decides what she wants. You will respect that. Alejandro breathless. You do not get to make those decisions. She is my wife. Miguel replies calmly. She is also a victim with filed charges. You are legally obligated to keep your distance until the police finish their report. The words hit Alejandro like ice water. Charges. Distance. Legal obligation. He did not expect this. He thought the situation could be salvaged with charm, with apologies, with the usual manipulation that always worked before. But the hospital, the police, the witnesses, the videos, everything is bigger than he imagined. He tries one last attempt. Tell her I love her. Tell her I never meant for any of this to happen. Miguel looks at him for a long moment. I will tell her what matters. And right now, what matters is her safety, her health, and that child she is carrying. No. Alejandro feels something cold coil in his chest. Can I at least see her? Miguel's answer is simple. No. For the first time in years, Alejandro feels genuinely powerless. Not angry, not frustrated, powerless. The control he built his life around has evaporated, and he cannot stop the sinking realization that everything he took for granted might be slipping away. Inside the room, Elena sleeps under soft lights. Her breathing is steady. The baby's heartbeat echoes through the monitor in a calm, repetitive rhythm. She looks peaceful for the first time in hours. Miguel watches her through the door's small glass window, and Alejandro walks away, feeling the walls of his world begin to crack. Elena wakes to the soft hum of machines, and the faint light of early morning slipping through the blinds. Her body still feels heavy, as if the fear from last night has settled deep into her muscles. Her pastel pink dress is gone, replaced by a fresh hospital gown. Her hair, once sticky with wine, has been washed by a nurse in the middle of the night, leaving it damp and smelling of lavender shampoo. The caramel-toned waves cling gently to her cheeks. The scrape from Lucia's napkin still burns every time she moves her face. Miguel is sitting in the corner of the room, not asleep, not relaxed, but watching, always watching. His eyes track every beep of the monitor, every small shift of Elena's body. He looks like a man who has not blinked in hours. When she stirs, he stands immediately. "You're awake," he says quietly. Elena nods and moves her hand to her belly. The baby responds with a tiny, reassuring movement. She closes her eyes in relief. "Is everything okay?" she whispers. Miguel nods. "The doctor checked again at 5 in the morning. The baby is fine. He wants to keep you a little longer just to make sure your blood pressure stays stable." A breath she didn't know she was holding escapes her. "Good, that's good." Miguel pours her a glass of water and places it in her hands. "You should drink. You lost a lot of fluids from the shock." She sips slowly, letting the coolness soothe her throat. "What time is it?" "A little after 8. It takes her a moment to gather courage. "Did he come back?" she asks. Miguel shakes his head. "No, and he won't be getting near you today." A heaviness settles in her chest, but not the same kind she used to feel. This one is different. This one feels like clarity. "I don't know what to do," she whispers. "I feel like everything is falling apart." Miguel pulls a chair closer to the bed. "It is not falling apart. It is finally showing you what it really was." Elena closes her eyes. She knows he is right. She just hates hearing it. A nurse enters quietly, checking the machines, adjusting the fetal monitor. "Her blood pressure is improving," the nurse says. "She is responding well to rest." Miguel thanks her. When the nurse leaves, Miguel's phone buzzes. He checks it with a frown. "Who is it?" Elena asks nervously. Miguel hesitates before answering. "Lucia's lawyer." Elena's stomach tightens. "Already?" Miguel nods. "They are trying to get ahead of the investigation. They want to claim the attack was an emotional misunderstanding." Elena's voice cracks. "She poured wine on me. She tried to make me fall. She knew I was pregnant." Miguel's jaw tightens. "I know, and that's exactly why she is scared. Her lawyer is trying to paint you as hysterical." Elena's heart sinks, but not because she is surprised. She has been blamed for years. She knows the pattern. But Miguel continues. "They sent a statement saying she felt threatened by you." Elena's eyes widen. "Threatened? By a pregnant woman sitting alone at a table?" Miguel shakes his head. "They will twist anything they can. But we have something they don't." Elena frowns. "What?" "Every witness, every phone camera, every angle of that restaurant. And most importantly, the security footage the manager gave me this morning." He pulls out his phone and taps the screen. A video plays. The angle is wide, shot from above, showing everything. Lucia spilling the wine, Lucia grabbing the napkin, Lucia sticking out her foot when Elena tried to stand, the shocked faces around them. Every second is undeniable. Elena covers her mouth as the footage plays. Seeing it from the outside feels worse than living it. It is irrefutable, brutal, and terrifying. Miguel pauses the video. This is enough to destroy her case. And Alejandro's. Her breath catches. "What do you mean his?" Miguel leans back slightly. "He lied to the police last night." Elena freezes. "What did he say?" "He said he arrived after it happened, said he had nothing to do with it. But look." Miguel taps the video again. In one corner of the frame, Alejandro appears in the doorway, not after the incident, before, watching Lucia reach for the wine bottle, watching the first splash hit Elena, watching her choke on shock. He knew. He saw everything. Elena feels her chest tighten. "He didn't stop her," she whispers. "He didn't even try." Miguel nods slowly. His statement contradicts the footage. That alone puts him under suspicion. Elena grips the blanket. "Suspicion of what?" Miguel answers without flinching. "Complicity." The word feels heavy, real, final. Before Elena can respond, the door swings open again. The doctor enters, followed by a second nurse. "Good morning," he says warmly. "I have the results from your overnight monitoring." Elena straightens, bracing herself. "Is the baby okay?" "Yes," the doctor says with a reassuring smile. The heartbeat is steady, and the contractions have stopped. Your blood pressure is coming down. You are still fragile, but stable. Elena exhales. Thank you. You will be discharged later today, the doctor continues. But I recommend you avoid stress and stay somewhere calm for at least a few days. She nods. I'm not going home. The doctor glances at Miguel. That's a wise decision. After he leaves, Elena sinks deeper into her pillow. When I leave here, she says softly, everything changes. Miguel nods. It already has. Elena looks down at her hands. They tremble slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of a choice she has avoided for too long. No more excuses, she whispers. No more protecting him. No more pretending. Miguel places a hand gently on the bed rail. You are not alone in this. For the first time, Elena believes it. She closes her eyes, resting as the monitor continues its steady rhythm beside her. Outside the door, the world waits. Inside the room, a different Elena begins to take shape. Elena leaves the hospital in a wheelchair, even though she insists she can walk. The nurse refuses to take the risk, and Miguel silently agrees. The morning light spills over the pavement outside, warm and soft, but Elena feels none of its comfort. Her body is steadier, her blood pressure stable, yet inside her chest something trembles with every inhale. Her caramel-brown hair is tied loosely to keep it off her cheek, where the faint red scrape still marks what Lucia did. The hospital gown has been replaced by a simple soft blouse and maternity leggings the nurse provided. She looks fragile, but she also looks awake in a way she has not been awake in a long time. Miguel walks beside her, matching the wheelchair's speed with steady, protective steps. Two officers stand near the entrance, verifying paperwork, ensuring there is no unwanted presence waiting outside. The world now knows what happened. The video has spread faster than both families could contain. Alejandro's name is everywhere, tied to a scandal that grows by the hour. Lucia's face is plastered across social media, with words like assault and cruelty attached to it. Reporters have even begun circling the story of Elena's condition, piecing together fragments of what happened inside the restaurant. Miguel helps Elena into his car, adjusting the seat and placing a small cushion behind her back. You're safe, he tells her. No one knows I brought this car. No one knows the route. You won't see Alejandro today. Elena closes her eyes for a moment. I don't want him to know where I am. He won't, Miguel promises. I made sure of it. The drive to Miguel's house is quiet. Elena stares out the window, watching the city move around them. People walk dogs. Cafes open their doors. Children in school uniforms run to catch buses. The world looks normal, but she feels detached from it, as if she is watching from behind thick glass. Everything that happened plays in loops in her mind. The wine, the laughter, the scraping pain. The moment Miguel arrived, and the look on Alejandro's face when he realized the consequences were bigger than he expected. When they reach Miguel's home on the outskirts of the city, the gate opens silently. The house is modern, wide, surrounded by high trees and security cameras. Elena has been here many times, but today it feels different. Today it feels like refuge. Miguel parks and helps her out of the car. You'll stay in the guest room, he says. It faces the garden, quiet and safe. Elena nods. Walking is slow, careful. She presses a hand to her belly as she moves. The baby seems calmer today, sensing that the chaos of the night before has passed, replaced by something steadier, even if uncertain. Inside, the house smells like coffee and clean linen. Miguel's living room is spacious, lined with soft leather furniture and framed photographs from his travels. He guides her to the guest room and helps her sit on the edge of the bed. If you need anything, he says, I'm right here. Elena lifts her eyes to him. I know, and thank you. Miguel leans against the wall, arms folded. While you were sleeping, the police called me. They are preparing to summon Alejandro formally. He will have to answer for his statement. Elena exhales slowly. He lied. He always lies when he wants to protect himself. This time, Miguel says, the lie will protect you. She rubs her belly, thinking about the child inside her. I don't know what kind of future my baby is walking into. Miguel's voice softens. One you choose, not one he chooses for you. Before Elena can reply, Miguel's phone vibrates. He glances at the screen, and his expression shifts. something sharp, something cold. "It's the attorney handling your case," he says. "I need to take this." He steps into the hallway, leaving the door open so she can still hear him if needed. Elena sits quietly, listening to the muffled conversation. His tone is calm but firm. She recognizes keywords: charges, evidence, violation, custody, safety measures. Every word sounds like a thread being pulled tighter around Alejandro's world. A knock at the guest room door pulls Elena from her thoughts. It is a housekeeper she has seen many times, a kind older woman named Rosa. "Senora Elena," Rosa says gently, "I brought you tea and some biscuits, something light. The doctor said you should eat." Elena manages a smile. "Thank you, Rosa. That's very kind." Rosa sets the tray on the bedside table. "We're all very happy you're here. You deserve peace." The sincerity in her voice almost breaks Elena's composure. She thanks her again, and Rosa leaves the room quietly. Elena takes a sip of tea, and for a moment she feels warmth return to her hands. But then her phone buzzes on the blanket beside her. She freezes. The screen lights up with a name she has avoided: Alejandro. Her heart pounds once, hard. She stares at the screen, unable to breathe. He calls again, again, again. His desperation vibrates through the phone. Then a message appears. "Please answer. We need to talk." Another. "There's been a misunderstanding. I can explain everything." Another. "Come home. We can fix this. You're overreacting." Elena feels her throat tighten. The words hurt more than she expected. Not because she believes them, but because she has heard them before. Too many times. Too many excuses, too many promises made only when he feared losing control. She places the phone face down on the bed. Miguel steps back into the room a moment later, noticing her expression. "Did he call?" Elena nods slowly. "He wants to fix things." Miguel's jaw clenches. "He wants to fix his image, not your pain." A silence hangs between them. Heavy, final. Elena takes a deep breath. "I'm not going back." Miguel nods. "Good. Because this is where chapter 1 of your old life ends, and chapter 1 of your new life begins." Elena presses a hand to her belly. "For both of us." Miguel offers a small, steady smile. "For all three of you." And for the first time since the chaos began, Elena feels something that does not hurt: control. Elena wakes to a different kind of silence the next morning. Not the sterile, mechanical quiet of the hospital. Not the trembling hush inside the restaurant after the wine hit her skin. This silence feels warm, like a blanket wrapped around her. A safe place. A beginning. She sits up slowly, one hand instinctively moving to her stomach. The baby rolls gently beneath her palm, calm, steady, as if sensing the peace in Miguel's home. Sunlight filters through the curtains of the guest room, casting soft golden patterns on the floor. The garden outside is quiet, except for the distant sound of birds. Elena takes a slow breath. Her body still aches from the fear of the night before, but the heaviness is different now. It is fading. It is manageable. She stands carefully and walks to the mirror. Her reflection stares back at her, wearing one of Rosa's comfortable maternity shirts. Her caramel brown hair is pulled into a loose braid to keep it from brushing against the healing scrape on her cheek. The mark is still red, still visible, still a reminder. But it no longer feels like the center of her world. It feels like a boundary, the last one she will allow anyone to cross. Miguel knocks softly before entering. "Morning, how are you feeling?" Elena gives him a small, tired smile. "Better. Tired, but better." Miguel nods. "I had some calls this morning. The police want you to come in for a follow-up statement. They said at your convenience. No rush. Elena hesitates. I'll do it, but not today. My body feels like it ran a marathon." "You take as long as you need," Miguel says. "I'll handle everything else." They go to the kitchen where Rosa prepares a breakfast tray. Toast, fruit, a small cup of yogurt. Elena sits at the table, feeling the warmth of the ceramic plate under her fingers. She didn't realize until now how little she has eaten since the incident. As she tries to eat, Miguel places his phone on the table and slides it toward her. "This came in an hour ago." Elena looks down. It is a news article. The headline makes her stomach twist. Business executive Alejandro Ruiz under police review after assault on pregnant wife. Her hands tremble. "He will hate me for this," she whispers. Miguel shakes his head. "He will blame you. That is different. And none of it is your fault. Elena knows he is right. But there is something inside her that still aches at the thought of what Alejandro might be saying, what he might be planning, what version of the story he might be feeding to anyone who will listen. Miguel taps the table to get her attention. There's more. He went to the restaurant this morning demanding the manager retract the footage release. Elena's eyes widen. Can he do that? No, Miguel says simply. But he tried, and the manager recorded him yelling. That video is circulating now too. Circulating? Elena repeats softly. Miguel nods. The public sympathy is with you. People saw everything. They are furious for you. Elena looks down at her hands. I'm not used to anyone being on my side. Miguel sits across from her. That's because you lived your life next to a man who needed you silent in order to feel powerful. A tear slips down Elena's cheek, but it does not fall from sadness. He liked when I stayed small. Miguel shakes his head. No, he needed you small. There's a difference. Elena wipes the tear with the back of her hand. Maybe I let it happen. Miguel leans forward. No, he made it happen. The moment sits between them, heavy and true. After breakfast, Miguel steps away for calls while Elena goes to the garden. The air is fresh and cool, carrying the scent of rosemary from the plants Rosa grows along the stone wall. Elena walks slowly along the path, her hand resting on her stomach with each step. She needs to think. She needs clarity. She needs to understand what comes next. But then she hears the front gate buzzer. Miguel's voice rises inside the house, sharp, angry. You need to leave. She will not speak to you. Elena freezes. Her breath catches. She knows that voice he is arguing with. She knows it deep in her bones. Alejandro? No, she is my wife. Alejandro says from outside. You cannot keep her from me. I'm keeping you from hurting her again, Miguel replies. Elena's chest tightens. Her heart begins to race. She steps closer to the window, watching through a small gap in the curtains. Alejandro stands at the gate, dressed in another perfect suit, but he looks nothing like the man who once charmed entire boardrooms. His hair is disheveled. His jaw tightens with contained panic. He presses a hand against the gate, leaning in as if he can force his will through metal. Miguel keeps his stance solid. You lied to the police. You let another woman attack her. You let her bleed. You let her fear for your child. You don't get to demand anything now. Alejandro looks past Miguel, scanning the windows until his eyes find movement. Elena, he calls out. Please, talk to me, please. Elena steps back instinctively, her pulse thundering. Miguel turns his head slightly. She doesn't want to see you. Alejandro slams his fist against the gate. She's my wife. Miguel's voice becomes ice. She is my sister, and she is done being your victim. Elena closes her eyes. A long breath shudders out of her. She turns away from the window, refusing to move even when Alejandro calls her name again. Miguel eventually returns inside. His voice softens. He's gone. He won't be back. Elena sinks into the nearest chair. I didn't realize until just now how afraid I am of him. Miguel kneels beside her. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Elena nods slowly, holding her stomach as the baby shifts in quiet reassurance. For the first time, Alejandro's voice has no power over her. And for the first time, she chooses herself. Elena spends the afternoon resting in the quiet guest room, trying to keep her thoughts steady and her breathing calm. Miguel insisted she lie down after Alejandro tried to force his way into the conversation earlier that morning. She agreed, not because she felt fragile, but because her entire body vibrated with an invisible tension she could not shake. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the wine falling over her, saw Lucia's smirk, saw Alejandro's coldness. But now, in Miguel's home, far from the danger, she lets the silence settle into her bones. As she drifts in and out of sleep, she hears the low hum of Miguel's voice from the hallway. He is on another call, likely with the attorney or the police. Every word he speaks is controlled, but she recognizes the storm beneath it. He is not merely protecting her, he is preparing for something. Late in the afternoon, Miguel knocks gently and steps into the room. Elena, you awake? She pushes herself up on her elbows. Yeah, just tired, still feeling a little lightheaded. Miguel nods. That's normal. The doctor said it might take a day or two for your system to fully calm down. He sits beside the bed. He looks serious, but not alarming. There's something we need to go over before the police come tomorrow. Elena's pulse tightens. Tomorrow? Yes. They want to finalize part of your statement, and they need to confirm the timeline with you. They also want to discuss protection measures. Elena's eyes widen. Protection measures? Miguel nods. They're standard when there's evidence of domestic negligence or emotional intimidation, and considering how he behaved today, they believe it's necessary. Elena looks down at her hands. I never wanted this to become a legal war. Miguel leans forward. It already became one the moment Lucia attacked you and Alejandro let it happen. A cold truth. Sharp. Clear. He continues. The footage is everywhere. It has already reached the prosecutor's office. This isn't just about reputation anymore. It's about whether the man you married will face legal consequences. And you need to be ready to answer questions with strength. Elena nods slowly. I will, but I'm scared. Miguel places a reassuring hand on the side of the bed. Being scared doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. Elena draws a small breath. What do they want from me tomorrow? They want you to recount everything, from the moment you sat down at the restaurant until the moment the ambulance took you. They also want to confirm that Alejandro did nothing to protect you, even though he was there. Elena flinches. That moment, I saw him. He saw everything. Miguel's expression hardens. And he lied about it. That lie matters. His statement contradicts at least 5 angles of video. Elena swallows. Do I have to talk about him? About our marriage? Miguel hesitates, then nods. You don't have to talk about things you're not ready for. But they will ask. They want to know whether this was the first sign of neglect, or if there were earlier ones. Elena's breath shakes. There were earlier ones. Miguel waits quietly, not pushing, not forcing. Finally, Elena speaks. He used to blame me for everything. If he came home late, he blamed my questions. If he lost a deal, he blamed my pregnancy. He said I made him feel trapped, that he needed someone like Lucia to feel alive again. Miguel closes his eyes for a moment, grounding his anger before it explodes. Elena continues softly, and I kept quiet because I thought if I stayed calm, he would come back to me. I thought he was just stressed. Miguel's voice lowers. You were trying to keep your family together, but he wasn't trying with you. Elena blinks away tears. I don't want the police to think I stayed because I was weak. Miguel shakes his head. They won't. They'll see a woman who endured too much for too long, and a man who took advantage of your loyalty. A silence hangs in the room, heavy but healing. Miguel stands. There's something else. Elena looks up nervously. What now? Miguel sits again, face serious. The prosecutor contacted me. The charges against Lucia are moving forward. Assault, attempted endangerment of a pregnant woman, and public humiliation. Elena's breath catches. So quickly? Because the evidence is overwhelming. And Alejandro? Miguel's eyes darken. They're reviewing his statement. If they can prove he lied to the police or knowingly allowed the assault, he could be charged with negligence, possibly obstruction. Elena grips the blanket. He's going to blame me for everything. He's going to say I ruined his life. Miguel shakes his head. He ruined his own life the moment he walked away from you at that table. Elena's voice breaks. Why didn't he protect me? Miguel answers gently. Because he didn't see you as someone who needed protecting. He saw you as someone who needed controlling. Tears spill again. Not from weakness this time. From truth. Miguel moves closer. Elena, tomorrow, the police will listen to you. They will believe you. They will protect you. But you need to decide something now. She wipes her cheeks. Decide what? Miguel looks directly at her. Whether you're ready to cut ties with him completely. Elena lowers her hand to her stomach. The baby moves, soft and slow. She looks down at the life inside her. A life that didn't ask to be inside chaos. A life that deserved peace. Finally, she whispers, I'm ready. Miguel nods once. Good. Because tomorrow starts the fight for your future. Elena closes her eyes, breathing in deeply, her heart stronger than it was yesterday. Tomorrow, she will face the police. Tomorrow, she will face the truth. And tomorrow, she will no longer be afraid. Elena walks into the police station the next morning with Miguel at her side. The air is cool, sterile, heavy with the distant echo of ringing phones and quiet conversations. It feels nothing like the restaurant where her world shattered. Nothing like the hospital where she fought to breathe. Nothing like Miguel's house where she slowly learned how to think clearly again. This place feels official, permanent, final. Her caramel brown hair is tied back neatly. her cheeks still carrying the faintest mark from Lucia's attack. She wears a soft maternity dress Miguel chose from a boutique on the way here. Something simple, something comfortable, something that makes her feel safe. Miguel places a hand on her shoulder before they enter the interview room. "We take this slow," he says. "You speak when you're ready." Elena nods, though her heart beats loudly in her ears. "I'm ready." Inside, two officers stand to greet her. One is the woman who first took her preliminary statement. The other is a senior investigator assigned to the case after the video went viral. They offer her water and a comfortable chair, not the hard metal ones she expected. "Mrs. Ruiz," the senior investigator begins, "thank you for coming. We know this is difficult." Elena exhales softly. "I just want to tell the truth." Miguel sits beside her, silent but solid. The officer clicks on the recorder. "Let's start from the moment you arrived at the restaurant." Elena closes her eyes for a moment and then speaks. "I was alone. He told me he would be late. I sat at the table and I waited. I never imagined what was coming." She explains the bottle, the shock, the cold, the scrape, the humiliation. Her voice trembles at moments, but she keeps going. She tells them about the stress that caused her stomach to tighten, about the dizziness that nearly took her down, about seeing Miguel walk in like a wall of safety she didn't know she still had. She does not embellish. She does not exaggerate. She tells it exactly as it was. Then the investigator asks the question she knew was coming. "Did you see your husband before the ambulance arrived?" Elena hesitates, but the truth sits heavy in her chest. "Yes," she says. "He was there before Lucia finished pouring the wine." The officers exchange a look. "And what did he do?" the woman asks gently. Elena swallows. "He watched." Miguel tenses beside her, but Elena continues. "He told me I was overreacting. He defended her, and he did nothing to stop what she did, even after she tried to trip me." The investigator nods slowly. "We have multiple videos confirming that." Elena grips the arm of her chair. "He lied to you. He said he arrived after. But I saw him. Everyone saw him." "He did lie," the investigator says. "And that is part of why we wanted you to come today." Miguel's jaw clenches. "What does that mean for the case?" The man opens a folder. There are several components to what happened. First, the assault by Lucia. That case is moving forward. Second, the false statement by Mr. Ruiz. That is under review for obstruction. Third, he hesitates, then continues carefully. "We are investigating whether Mr. Ruiz willingly allowed harm to come to his pregnant wife." Elena's breath catches. "That's a crime?" "Yes," the investigator confirms, "especially when the victim is carrying a child. Negligence or complicity can carry serious consequences." Miguel leans forward. "What do you need from my sister?" "Just clarity," the woman officer says. "We need to know if this was an isolated event or part of a pattern." Elena lowers her hand to her stomach as if grounding herself. "There were patterns," she says softly. "Not like this. Never physical, but emotional. Manipulation, blame, silence. He didn't defend me. He erased me." The investigator writes something down. "That aligns with what we suspected." Elena exhales shakily. "Is this going to get him arrested?" The woman officer answers cautiously. "It might, but that decision is up to the prosecutor's office." For the first time, Elena feels the gravity of what she has set in motion. Not just charges, not just statements, a possible arrest, a public unraveling of Alejandro's carefully crafted world. A world she once believed she belonged to. The interview continues with specific details, exact times, precise actions. Miguel supports her when she falters. The officers guide her when her voice trembles. And by the time they turn off the recording, Elena feels drained but lighter, as if each word she spoke peeled away another layer of fear. When they walk outside into the fresh air, Elena leans against the wall for a moment, calming her breath. "You were strong," Miguel says. "Stronger than you realize." Elena nods faintly. "I didn't feel strong." Miguel looks at her with quiet certainty. "That's because strength isn't loud. Sometimes strength is choosing to speak even when your voice shakes." They walk toward the car, but a sudden commotion near the entrance makes them pause. A group of reporters rushes forward. Cameras flash. Microphones stretch toward her like reaching hands. "Elena, is it true your husband lied to police? Are you pressing charges against Lucia? Is your baby safe? Did Alejandro abandon you during the attack? What will happen to your marriage now?" Elena freezes. Miguel steps in front of her instantly, shielding her from the sudden onslaught. "No questions," he says firmly. "Step back." But one reporter pushes forward. "Mrs. Ruiz, do you have anything to say to your husband?" Elena's heart hammers. She grips Miguel's arm for balance. She could stay silent. She could turn away. She could hide like she always did. But she doesn't. For the first time, Elena lifts her chin and speaks with a voice steadier than she expected. "Yes," she says. "I do." The reporters go silent. Elena meets the nearest camera with clear, unafraid eyes. "I hope he finally understands that silence is over." Miguel places a protective hand on her back and leads her through the crowd. And with every step she takes, Elena feels something new forming in her chest. Strength, purpose, resolve. Tomorrow will bring headlines. Tomorrow will bring consequences. But today, she took back her voice, and she is not giving it up again. Elena returns to Miguel's house after the interview, exhausted in a way sleep cannot fix. Yet something inside her feels brighter, as if a long-locked door has finally opened. She sits in the guest room for a moment, letting the quiet settle around her. The baby shifts gently beneath her hand, not the frantic movements from before, but slow and steady, safe. Her caramel-brown hair falls over her shoulder as she leans back, breathing deeply. Today, for the first time in months, she feels like she is living for herself, instead of surviving someone else's decisions. Miguel enters with 2 cups of tea, setting one on her bedside table. "You did well today," he says. Elena nods. "It felt like I was finally telling the world what I should have said a long time ago." Miguel sits in the chair near her bed. "The prosecutor called while you were resting. They're treating this as a priority case." "What does that mean?" Elena asks quietly. "It means Alejandro's statement is already flagged, and Lucia's charges will be filed by the end of the week." Elena lets out a slow breath. "I didn't want any of this to get so big." Miguel looks at her with steady eyes. "It was always big. The difference is now you're not facing it alone." Before Elena can respond, Rosa knocks softly and steps inside with a gentle smile. "Elena Carino, you have visitors, but only if you feel up to it." Elena tenses. "Who?" Rosa glances at Miguel, and he nods. "Just 2 of your close friends. They saw the reports and came to check on you." For a moment, Elena feels the old instinct rise, the instinct to hide the truth, to protect Alejandro's image, to minimize what happened, but she pushes it away. "Let them in," she says softly. Her 2 friends enter with careful steps. Their faces reflect shock, sympathy, and something she didn't expect. Admiration. "Elena," one whispers, "we saw the videos. We had no idea he would let something like that happen." "I didn't want anyone to know," Elena admits. "Not like this." Her other friend shakes her head gently. "You were protecting him, but now you're protecting yourself and your baby. That's what matters." Elena's throat tightens. "It's been a long time since someone said that to me." Miguel stands and gives her a moment of space with her friends. They sit close, talking softly, letting her speak in ways she never allowed herself to before. The release is slow but powerful, like letting go of weights she had carried silently. After they leave, Miguel returns with a folder in his hand. "We need to talk about the next step." Elena sits straighter, bracing herself. "What next step?" Miguel places the folder on her lap. "This is from the family lawyer. You don't have to decide today, but you should read it." Elena hesitates before opening the folder. Inside are documents she once feared even seeing. A restraining order request, a separation preparation, a custody protection outline. The words blur slightly as she reads. She looks up at Miguel with uncertainty. This feels so final. Miguel sits beside her. "Elena, this is not punishment. This is protection. For you, and for your child." Her voice trembles. "I thought marriage was supposed to be forever." Miguel's tone softens. "It is, but only if both people choose each other. Alejandro hasn't chosen you in a long time." Elena lowers her gaze to her stomach. "My baby deserves better than this." "That's why you're doing this," Miguel says. "You're not ending your life. You're saving it." The weight of his words settles deeply. Suddenly, Miguel's phone buzzes on the nightstand. He checks the screen, his expression changing instantly. It's the prosecutor. Elena's pulse spikes. "Is something wrong?" Miguel listens for a moment, his jaw tightening slightly but not in anger. When he hangs up, he sits back down and takes Elena's hand. "They made a decision," he says. Elena's breath stalls. "About Alejandro?" Miguel nods slowly. He's being brought in for questioning today, and depending on his answers they may issue a formal charge. A cold, surreal wave passes through Elena. What did he do now? Miguel's voice is calm, but firm. He contacted people involved in the case this morning, tried to pressure the restaurant manager to alter his statement, tried to convince a witness to delete their video. That can be seen as witness tampering. Elena closes her eyes. I knew he would try to twist the story, but not like this. Miguel squeezes her hand gently. This is not your burden anymore. A tear slips down Elena's cheek. Then what happens next? Miguel releases a slow breath. Next, you choose what your life looks like. The law will handle him. The courts will handle the rest. You only need to focus on yourself and the baby. Elena lets his words sink into her. They feel like a new beginning. Later that evening, she steps out into the garden alone. The air is cool and sweet. The sky glows with soft amber light as the sun sets. She places both hands on her belly and whispers to the life inside her. We're safe now. We're stronger now, and we're not going back. Her baby shifts gently, like a quiet promise. Miguel watches her from the doorway, arms crossed, relief softening his features. You look lighter, he says. Elena turns toward him. I feel lighter. Miguel nods. That's because this is the first night in a long time where you belong somewhere. You're truly protected. Elena steps closer, a calm strength settling into her voice. Tomorrow, I want to sign the papers, the restraining order, the separation, all of it. Miguel nods with pride. I'll be by your side for every signature. Elena looks up at the darkening sky, the first stars beginning to appear. For the first time since the nightmare began, she feels something bright bloom inside her. Peace. Power. A future she chooses. And she knows exactly where it begins.